don't mess around.
With the mess around. This is your girl, Miss Rock.
And Universe Dragon. Thank you so much for tuning in with us today.
And today's topic, Dragon, is consistency. Am I saying that right?
That is correct. Today's topic is.
So yeah, Dragon, what is your meaning of consistent? Tongue twist. Of being consistent.
My meaning of being consistent is just like, it's really putting something in place and moving toward that. And not stopping that. You know, so many people move, but then they stop, they hold. It's not a consistent flow, or it's a little bit here, a little bit there, every now and then. Like I kind of feel like maybe today I can do it instead of just staying in a flow of things and keep going.
Yeah.
What is your what would you say being consistent?
Well, that is my middle name, you know, because when I put my passion into something, every day I'm there, I'm putting my all. And you know, when it could be a radio, it could be a show, it could be anything. You know, you might not have the crowd that you are expecting to get, you know, at the beginning. But when you stay consistent and you keep working, even if you have one person looking at your show, you know, it builds up and people see that you are consistent and you are about that. You know, you are the host, you are the, you know, anything you want to be. And that's how you get your crowd.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
Start from little to 100.
Yeah. And you can apply this to every part of life. I feel like, I mean, you can stay consistent. Like if you're growing plants, you gotta stay consistent, you know, watering those flowers and making sure that everything gets the nutrients that it needs. When you're raising children, you have to stay consistent on that, and discipline and education and everything like that. You have to stay consistent on that. Like cleaning, like whatever it is, like if you're building something, if you're, you know, whatever it may be, if you're learning a new thing, you have to stay consistent.
Yeah. And I know it gets to a moment that you're like, oh, I don't want to do this no more. What did I get myself into? You know, tears and sweat, whatever. But, you know, the great feeling is when you know, like, wow, I finished this. I got through it. You know, people are cheering for you, or if it's real life, I finally made it. You know, like that's a great feeling, Jay.
It most definitely is. That it's the reward is so great if you stay on the path that you set out for yourself. And a lot of people, you know, they hop off the path, you know, like, and I'm a person that gets extremely distracted, you know, like, I mean, so I have to keep my focus on the thing. So, cause I know that the way my attention is something can pull me left or right or wherever, you know, I can be focused on this one thing, and then out of nowhere, bam, somebody, you know, something happened over here, and it's like full attention has been drawn over here, and I have to bring myself back to the thing that I was focused on in the beginning. So knowing that about myself, I have to even operate differently to make sure that I accomplish the goal I set out to do, because I know I can get pulled someplace else.
Yeah, I be the same way. I'm like so excited to start this one project, and then I get another idea, and I'm like, oh, jump into that. But then I'm like, oh, I have that problem as well. So, question, you know, is it only creative people that feels like that? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because I understand you when you said that, like, you know, you focus on one, then you jump to another thing. Is it a creative mindset that people, you know?
I feel like I feel like it does have, you know, kind of something to do with that part of the mind, that creative mindset, or just as I would say a particular way of thinking. Because you know, some people think in just kind of like a singular, you know, like they'll put something in front of them and then they just work on that one thing. Nothing can take them from action to one thing. But me, while I'm doing this thing, I'll think of something else. Just like that, halfway through or a quarter way through, I'll be making even music. I'll be making some music and I'm like, oh, this sounds amazing, but it doesn't fit here. Oh, let me go over here real quick. And or if I'm building something in here, it's like I'm building this and I'm like, oh, this looks amazing, but it doesn't fit here. So like let me build it and put it over here. And then now I'm on some other world trying to, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So then I gotta go back. So it's the same thing. It's you have to keep that focus on at least, on it's okay to have multiple projects going at once, but you got to keep your main you got to keep majority of that focus on one to get it complete, because you can have a million projects that aren't complete. And then no one's seen anything. No one is, it hasn't yielded anything. You haven't reached to me that goal, like
if we have more time in the day, I'll be having like 20 projects.
Easily. Like I don't sleep a lot because there's only 24 hours in a day. Now, some people, they're like, this day won't end. And for me, I'm like, this thing is flying by and I need more time in this day to get stuff done. Like
flies.
It's just,
oh man,
I just need more time. Like that's always
so exciting to like start on projects and, sticking to it. It's like a puzzle for me. Like, building a Horizon world, I am being consistent to finish it. So it's like a puzzle and I love it. Oh my God. If I had nothing to do in the real life, I will finish a world in one day. One day, because that's how exciting I am. And I gotta finish it.
Same. I can easily build a world. I could probably build 2 worlds in a day if you give me enough time. Like if I don't have to sleep.
And Dragon, do not take me to a puzzle game world, because I won't leave until I finish. That's the problem. I will not be considered a loser. I will win. So.
I will keep going. I will keep until I finish it. Like I gotta see this thing through. Like I'm the same way with movies or whatever. I can be halfway through a movie like, you know what? Why did I start this movie? This is not actually that good. But then you know what? I'll be like, but I gotta finish this thing.
Right?
Yeah, but I'm curious. Like I'm this far. It was good enough for me to start the thing. Like so now I want to see how far this thing goes. Let's see how far the movie goes down.
And then I'm disappointed at the end because
exactly
the ending was that he went to get a cheeseburger. Like what?
Something,
but
something super basic, or
I was consistent.
Exactly.
So yeah, that is my middle name, Miss Rocks Consistent.
Miss Rocks Consistent. I completely understand. Same thing. Always pushing, always moving forward. But with all that movement, all that going forward, what happens when you stop? Like, what happens when you do set the project down? Like when you do just like it's not doing like, what I needed to do.
Example. Let's say the podcast. It takes a lot of effort and you have to have, the positive mindset to make it happen. And if you stop.
So with all that, with all that movement, with all that going and consistency moving forward, what happens when you stop?
Ooh.
What happens when you just stay? What happens when you stop the project that you're doing and stop, the workouts that you were doing? What happens when you stop all the things that what happens when you stop?
I got an example. Let's say, the podcast. It takes a lot of effort to, come up with a topic, everything. Like if you want to build a world or in real life, you need to have a full plan. So imagine you start and people say, oh, she has a podcast, and then you stop. It's not a good look. And I don't like a bad profile. I'm very creative. But there's some people that they just stop and maybe they just wander off to another thing.
Yeah. And sometimes that's what it is.
And it's okay to fail. It's okay.
It is.
A lot of things takes time but for me, it's not a good feeling. I don't like it at all.
Yeah. No, agreed.
I can't do that because it's on my name.
Yeah. I mean, I when it comes down to the whole of like just stopping, like I've got this whole thing moving forward and then I'm just going to stop it. I'm just gonna like throw in the towel. Like, you know what? This is too much. Because for me, I feel like if I've put any amount of effort into one thing, then I have to see it through because I've started it.
Yeah.
And for me, if I started it, and if
Yeah.
I told anyone, even if it was just one person, if I told you, hey, starting
Yeah.
tomorrow, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, then I've held myself to this. Even myself, I don't like
Yeah.
to lie to me. So if I tell myself this is the end
Exactly.
result and this is the goal that I'm trying to achieve, then I'm not about to lie to me. You know, I have to know that
Yeah.
when I tell myself I'm going to do something, that I'm going to be able to see it through. And for me, that's what it's about. So seeing it all the way through, regardless to how hard it is or the struggles in there, it makes you stronger. All of it does.
But, we are human, and sometimes, I have an example that happened to me. You know, I do have my closing um line in the real life. So, um, I'm always pushing forward with it, creating, posting on my website. But then one big thing that happened to me was, my brother passed away. So when that happened, I was just out of it. Like I couldn't continue with anything else because you know, I'm going through the stages of grief.
Yeah.
So that took me away from focusing on that. And to find my inspiration was a bit hard. So this is why I'm in the metaverse, you know. Um but yeah, that's, you know, the one time that I'm like, wow, I kind of push it to the side for a bit.
And I
It
will
was very
say
hurting
again,
time.
when it comes to things like that, and again, sorry for your loss, but when it comes to things like
Yeah.
that, it is it is definitely it is understandable, for something to
Yeah.
be put on the back burner. Um, you know, I know again, and if
Yeah.
we're talking loss, like when I lost my mom, it was very much
Mhm.
um it was a lot of things that I was doing and motions that I had in place that stopped. I would say that
Mhm.
that was kind of that was something that changed who I was in
Yeah.
in this world. You know what I mean? And became, uh, you know, the thing about it is tragedy sometimes will evolve a person. Like that's not how you want to
Yeah.
evolve, but sometimes
Mhm.
it happens and we evolve because of it. We become different
Yeah.
people because of that. But when it comes down to it, you know, that that stopping, unless it's something within the realm
Mhm.
of unexpected, because again, we're human.
Yeah.
Unexpected things will take place.
Yeah.
But if it's not part of anything like that, then we always
Yeah.
want to stay consistent. We want to keep that consistency.
Yeah.
Stopping shouldn't be an option unless there is an
Yeah.
emergency. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
If you started it, keep going,
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's easy to say it, but when you're going through it, it's very hard. Like, so how I found inspiration and kept going, I had to give myself time. I gave myself time, but I was always searching and still am for inspiration, for more push and to keep my mind busy and see the greatness that I've worked. Like I've did all this, I cannot let it fall down because it was just for nothing. I gotta keep pushing, but it's okay to take a break and restart again. So I came into the metaverse when that happened, and it was just so unexpected, and it has been a blessing because I found what I was looking for in here, you know,
Yeah.
that inspiration to continue. Listen, I'm trying not to get emotional here. To keep going, to find inspiration, to have something to look forward to, it was in here
Yeah.
because
And
I
I,
was really,
yeah, I mean
trying to find what it is. Mhm.
that right there is powerful in itself because it speaks volume
Mhm.
about the capabilities that you can find in things like
Yeah.
this, like in the metaverse, in VR. When I put this thing on to play Beat Saber, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
tell you straight up, like I got this
Mhm.
to play some Beat Saber, And then I heard about the Population One game. Those are the two main games I
Yeah.
got. And that was the first games I got in here. I had no idea this is was going to be the outcome.
Yeah.
I had no idea I'd be sitting here speaking to anyone in an avatar form at any point in time. But I love this. You know what I mean? Like I enjoy this, and I found family here. You know what I mean? I found hope. I found drive. I found relationships.
Yep.
I found business. I found everything here. You know, like just everything in encompassing. You know, like
Yeah.
I built so many different relationships and partnerships and all kinds of stuff with so many. Just it's just been an amazing journey in here, and that's just been a little bit over a year. Think about the next 5.
Exactly.
You know, like it's just going to be, you know, it's going to be phenomenal. But again, if that consistency isn't there,
But
then there
you
will be
was
nothing to come
yeah,
to.
exactly.
There's nothing here
Yep.
if we don't stay consistent right now. And everyone who's coming in who has that drive and has that will and want to build, stay consistent. If you're doing music, stay consistent. Keep making that music. It's going to get better and
Yes.
better. You're dancing, keep dancing every day. No matter what you're doing, dance. You know, like whatever it is that you want to do, I promise you, like it that drive is
And
always there.
it's okay to take a break. It's okay.
Yes.
It is not
Yes.
gonna leave in one day, but always
Exactly.
remember, like, you know, you gotta have care. You have to get your mind right, to have more ideas coming. It's okay to take a break, to fall back, and then go back to it, you
Yes.
know?
100%.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to step back, recollect, you know,
Yes.
re-navigate, you know, do some more
Yep.
calculations, and then you move forward. It's not always meant for you to get from point A to point B right away. Sometimes your point A
Exactly.
leads you to point D, point C, all the way back to point B, the point B that you were trying to get to in the
And
first place.
also,
You know,
I know when you know, you do something, no matter what in life, real life or in the metaverse, there's always competition.
yes,
Dragon, there's always competition, and it might throw you off. It might throw you off, like, you know, they think they better than me, and I don't wanna do this no more. A lot of people get, you know, and just know that everyone is gonna have something to say. Everyone, positive or negative. Keep going, you know?
yes,
'Cause
yes,
this person might not like what you're doing, but guess what? There's 100 more people behind you cheering for you, you know?
exactly.
Keep going. So,
Yeah. Use it as fuel. This is one of the things I would say to anyone.
yeah.
Anytime you have someone being negative, anytime you have someone trying to put you down or whatever it is, use that as fuel. All they are doing is fueling the tank.
Yeah.
For them to take time out of their day to tell you you're doing a bad job means you're doing completely amazing. So
But
never
that's a
think that
competition, like,
those negative remarks are compliments. They don't know how to give them any other way than the way that they
exactly.
gave them. But that is a compliment. Every time someone's like, your stuff is this, or your stuff didn't do this, and I don't really like what you do, and blah, 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 you know, all this. Like, I promise you, all those are compliments. They are giving them to you in the only way they know how, which could potentially be very hateful remarks, whatever they want to come off, trolling, or whatever you want to call it. That's all they know how to do. But they're doing to say anything to you, it's a compliment.
Pause.
Told to you out of negativity or positivity, take it as positive. Negative things,
Exactly.
unless now it's a difference between constructive criticism, a person who has your best interest in
Yeah.
mind, someone who is in that field. Like if you build windows and they're like, hey, I got this awesome way of building windows where I can cut your time in half, man. If I show you, that's different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if it's something that doesn't pertain, if somebody just wants to put you down and you know, because one of the is when someone says, I'm doing it wrong, it's how would you do it? Or how do you know I'm doing it wrong? You know, like, you know, so like those are my questions. Like, how do you know I'm doing it wrong? Or how would you do it? You know, because if it's one thing to tell me I'm doing wrong, but it's different to teach me, let me know. Because a person who has your best interest is going to let you know how to do it right instead of just telling you you're doing it wrong. I'll never come to tell you you're doing it wrong, but I may come with a solution or a easier way to do it or a better way to do it or something else.
Yeah.
I'm always going to give something. I'm not just there to tell you you're doing it wrong. So, you know, again, that is something that you know, so again, don't stop, never stop, stay consistent. It's not worth stopping at any point in time.
So Dragon, what's been a positive result of your consistent, like, what have you been doing that you keep pushing? Like,
I mean,
tell the audience, talk to us.
I will, I will say that um, one of the biggest things when it comes to my consistency has been music. I've always loved music.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was one of those things where I did it every so often. I always, would sing and flow and other things like this everywhere I was, whether I was at work. I used to work in a lot of warehouses. So I'm like doing warehouse work,
Yeah.
just singing and rapping and other things like this. Um, excuse me. But making music myself, and, in my mind, it was going to take a whole army of people for me to ever put music in front of the masses. And by staying consistent, by staying and continuously learning as much as I possibly can, I was able to give music to people, way more people than I ever thought my music would touch, all by staying, keeping that consistency, and pushing my music. Now it sounds better, and now I've got better production. Now I've got better beats in here.
Yeah.
I know how to market it better. I know how to push it out better and other things like this, because as an independent artist, you don't have an army behind you. You only move as far as you're willing to push yourself. So that's one of those things where I feel like that's where my consistency, and outside of that, it will be in here and building worlds, because that has been my second thing. That's just been like, every time I build, it's like making music for me. It's like, or every time I make music, I feel like it gets better and better, and it's just music to my ears. And the same with the world. I build something, it gets amazing.
And
what about
and the
yourself?
beautiful thing is that you go back and you see the growth, because you stayed on it, and you're like, wow, I can't believe I, sang about this and I sounded different. Now I sound, more professional, and that's awesome.
I listened to some of my first music and it sounded like garbage. But at that time, I'm sitting here like, that's my jam. Look at this. But this is you see this? Like, I'm playing it for everybody. I'm like, look at this music. And it's just freaking amazing. And now I listen back and I'm like, that sounds like trash. You see, like, because I've come so far. But I love looking at the stuff that I've done in the past to see that.
I don't call it trash. I call it vintage.
Hey, exactly. Hey, I'm gonna have to go ahead.
When you did it, you put in your effort.
Hey, I did 150%. And at that time, it definitely sounded like it was gold. You know what I mean? So, and that's, so 100%. I agree. Y'all heard that. It's vintage, not garbage, not old.
So I have story of being consistent from real life and in the metaverse. In real life, I love making clothes. Designing is my thing. So in the real life, the pandemic happened, right? We had no mask. Everybody wanted, was everyone was trying to find where can they get masks. So me as a designer, I'm like, I'm going to design masks, right? I started making them, the shape, everything. I got fabric, soon as possible. And then after, they closed all the stores. So thank God I was left with fabric and and materials that I could design on the mask. So that, because I stayed on it throughout the whole pandemic, it helped build my brand. So I got to be able to get my LLC, my website. I got more products, so I started making shirts. So that helped build my company. And then inside the metaverse, here I came bringing fashion, but it was too soon in the game, and there was not enough people. So I started building and practicing and learning how to, build and snap until I came with an idea, which was Meta News. Mind you, I don't do reporting, but I do media. So I'm very familiar with that. But I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know at all. It was just all in order. And I gave myself time to find my way. I could have stopped. Just when I built that world and I was like, uh-oh, I need a group now. It can't only be me. I need a group. So just with that, I could easily been like, you know what? I'm going to just leave. I'm not going to do this. This is too much work. and it was early in the game, you know, I didn't know everybody was gonna come or people from New York or, Latin people was gonna be here. I just this is what Imma do, and I stick to it, and now we're about to have a year, and now it's bigger than ever. We have over, like, 20 people,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
and
the
that's one of my positive results of staying consistent.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that. I've seen that as a person who, of course, is part of Meta News as well. I've seen that consistency. I've seen that growth. I've seen that push. Every week we are always there. We're all there on
Yeah.
time, early, ready to go, ready to rock and roll, getting
Yes.
it done. And that consistency is the reason,
Yes.
that you've accomplished everything that you have, like, I mean, and I've seen that growth and been part of that growth of the dream that you thought up, what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
been awesome. It's definitely been awesome. And again, that's just a telltale sign of what you get when you stay consistent,
Yeah.
and keep
Exactly.
pushing, and toward the goal that you set out to achieve. It is
Yeah.
definitely, it's definitely a
And
very,
one
very,
thing, staying consistent is it's like level. There's
yeah,
levels to, keep on to, like, your dreams, like, it's a different level, and it's get harder. It gets a lot harder, but you have to keep pushing.
yes, indeed. I couldn't have said it better. Like it never gets easier as you push. Like you push
Oh,
and
no.
it's like it gets thicker, the rock gets heavier,
But your
um,
yes,
but you're going further and further up this thing.
but your
And that's
mind, you're more experienced. So
yes,
what's hard, what looks hard for you, you're like, "I got this," you know? "I got
exactly.
it. It's
Oh,
nothing."
this is
It's
nothing. I
tough,
like to walk
but I
into a
got this.
situation, or any predicament or a competition or whatever it is
Mhm.
with the mindset that I've already won.
Yes.
Now, of course, now for me, that mindset, because I think some people perception of that mindset is if you walk in like you already
Mhm.
won, you're not going to give it your all. But me, I walk in like I won because I am going to give it my all. For me, it's like I've won this thing because I know I'm about to give it like my
Yeah.
every single bit, whether I win or not. But I'm walking in with the mentality that I've already won it. I've already beat
One
this.
second.
I've already
One sec. Okay.
So I'm coming in with the mentality that I've already beat this, that I've already wanted because that's what I
Yep.
intend to do. So that's my mentality. And that's where I push the drive and everything like that, that I need to keep going forward and keep that consistency
Yes.
that's going to get me to that next level. But consistency
Yes.
doesn't just stop at like what you're building, what you're making. Consistency it kind of weaves this way into every aspect of
Yeah.
life. So real big question that kind of comes into
Yeah.
is
Mhm.
how does consistency affect relationships?
Ooh. Ooh. Yes, because um, because I hear a lot of, "Oh, it takes effort for a relationship to work. It takes 2." But when it comes to consistency in a relationship, go ahead, Dragon. Answer that for me.
I mean, yeah, I consistency in a relationship, I feel is very it's a very important thing. Um, you know, it's because when a person starts a relationship, I feel that you show a person who you are and you're laying your cards on the table one by one as this
Yeah.
relationship goes on. So with that being said, I feel like consistency in a relationship, like you started off one way. Now again, you evolve as two people, but
Yeah.
staying consistent with the things that you do, the I love yous and the hey babe, how you doing? Like the checking on you and the things, because I feel like a lot
Yeah.
of relationships start off one way and then they dwindle away, or they,
Yeah.
what do they call it? The honeymoon phase and things like that. Now, I feel like when you are with a person that you truly share a connection, there's almost nothing that can break
Mhm.
it. But in
That's
relationships
true.
where, it's not, like, because a lot of relationship, I can't say that every single relationship shares the same connection. So
Yeah.
with a relationship, I feel that you have to stay consistent. Too much dies down after kind of like that beginning phase. Then people just start doing less and less, for each other, or the I love yous and the hugs, the kisses, and other things like this. These shouldn't dwindle down. If anything, they should become more abundant as a relationship
Yeah.
goes. So it should still be a consistency to that level of love in a relationship. And that's my opinion, like what I believe should be taking place. What do you
Well,
think?
if the love is real, there's a lot of ways to be consistent and show how, the person loves that person. There's many ways, and always bringing some new things into the relationship, instead of letting it dry out,
Yeah.
'cause imagine people living together is a whole different story. You see each
Exactly.
other every day
Exactly.
now. Effort, like, I mean, I feel like the word effort takes place in the dating stage,
Yes.
you know? But when you guys live together, it takes consistency to, like, what else to bring in the
Exactly.
relationship, with the
Exactly.
intimacy and all that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel
Or
like
as parents, that's a lot of work.
exactly, like at parenting, intimacy, whether it's conversation, when you're, family, there's a lot of
Yeah.
levels to relationships. But no matter what, if you are building a relationship, you must stay consistent in that build. The same way, if you're building a world in
Yeah.
here, if you stop building that world, it goes nowhere. You stop building on your relationship, it goes nowhere.
Yeah.
You stop building a
Goes
house,
nowhere. Mhm.
it won't go, like you'll never be able to live in that house because you stop building it. So you have to continue to build, and that consistency I feel carries over in every aspect of life,
Yeah.
not just, you can't just set that with any one thing. That goes every aspect, even
Mhm.
whatever it is. Like I know when I was younger, I used to stutter, a little bit
Oh,
because
okay.
I um I think the way my brain works is it thinks really quickly. So it's thinking
Okay.
more words than my mouth at the time when I was younger could say. Um, so now I talk a lot and fast, so, like, so these are things that I have to, like these are things that I do, but it's almost like the speaking fast will help me compensate with the stutter. Like by speaking faster, I stop
Mhm.
stuttering. And this is something that, like, when I was
So
younger,
you
I,
you was aware that you had this issue,
I was aware I
and you
had this issue.
stay, like, practicing
Stay
on
consistent on the
getting
way
your
that I
yeah.
spoke, in my speech, in the way I
Mhm.
talk, carefully thinking out my words, and then speeding up the way I spoke because sometimes I would stutter because I'm like trying to say too much too
Yeah.
quickly, or too slow, like or wasn't there. So as I continue to speak, I was able
Yeah.
to speak differently as I got older and older, and things like that. So now I'm able to,
Yeah.
hold a conversation forever, probably with myself. Feel like I'm just saying, like I can
That's
talk
great.
forever,
Yeah.
but without any of those issues and all that, left, a long time ago. My son actually dealt with stuttering as well, when he was a lot younger. So,
Okay.
um, I don't know if it's just something that,
Oh,
like, but he, I worked with him as
yeah.
well. But that consistency is something that helped me get away from that, something that just didn't last because I
Yeah.
pushed. Again, consistency
Yeah.
is key to growth and everything like that. And we want to go ahead and open up the phones. If there's anybody who is here today who would like to to call in. If you are in the if you're watching this video, in the comment section down below, go ahead, let us know what consistency means to you on any of the topics we talked about today. What does consistency
Yeah.
mean to you? But we want to open those lines up. Do we have
Alright,
anybody?
we have
um
caller number 1.
all right, so we got a caller on the line.
Yes.
Hello, hello.
Hey,
Can
Hello. Who's
how's it going?
okay.
speaking?
Who we
It's going
talking to and where you
okay.
from?
You're speaking to El Blanco, raining from down south, Alabama, by way of
All right,
Chicago.
Okay.
Alabama.
Yes.
All right.
Blanco.
Hey.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so
That's a businessman
consistency.
right there. Ooh.
Consistency.
Let us know.
Very important word in this day and age.
Mhm.
Absent the era of when people got married because of purpose instead of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you're working with trying to be consistent with love in the mix. And sometimes, depending on, how you vibrating, love may be more important and to one side and task and all these other things may be important on the other side. But consistency, I guess, is in terms of what two people agree to, what they decide to connect on, what roles they decide they're going to play, and being consistent with those roles. And as time changes, being flexible enough to remain consistent, because sometimes people aren't ready for change because they don't expect change. And when the change does happen, they have to either sometimes expand their roles or step down in their roles.
Yeah.
And, I was hearing somebody the other day in another podcast talking about, how a man has to be the head of the household, and that's changed a long time ago here in the United States of America because, roles change based on the economy and based on finances and based on just society, and it's a patriarchal concept anyway. So, it ain't necessarily got to be etched in stone. But consistency is very important. And it is one of the main things. But my word is reciprocity. I love that word. That's my favorite word in relationships, reciprocity.
Okay.
But that's pretty much it.
All right. Hey, well,
Wow.
thank you so much. We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you calling in and sharing that. El Blanco, again,
You
consistency
see, now
is
that's
key.
a man that knows what he's speaking.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
That was a very
Thank you for dropping that knowledge. Thank you for dropping that wisdom.
response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. El Blanco, thank you so much. Again, down in the comment section below, if you're not here to call in today, then by all means, in the comment section below, let us know, what does consistency mean to you? We want to know. And then how has it affected your life? How's it changed you? And how have you been successful by being consistent? Because you don't know how many people your story could touch. But with that being said, guys, we just want to say thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much for tuning in with us. We appreciate everybody who tunes in. Thank you again. 100%.
And Dragon, it is the end of the month. We're now heading to March.
Spring. Spring is right around the corner. Spring is right around the corner. We are capping this month off. And yes, I am so excited for that warmer weather. But we'll be here
please come fast.
Oh yeah. I can't wait. I'm looking forward. I already got my spring clothes in the closet ready to roll. So I'm just ready.
Well, I got the summer clothes already. Hello.
Hey, don't play no games at all. Don't mess around with the mess around. But with that being said,
that's right.
We are going to go ahead and we're gonna let you guys know that every Friday, I want you guys to be able to tune. You can tune in. You can come to the world. We'll be in the Don't Mess Around podcast world at 11:30 Eastern time.
11:30. Yes.
So by all means, definitely come in, and we'll it's going to be a good time. Come in, and if you can't come in, then tune in on our YouTube channels and all of our other podcasts. Don't mess around with the mess around. You guys have a fantastic
Don't mess
night.
around with the mess around.
That's right. Yay.
I hit this button.
This is going to be one of the better podcasts